Hey everybody, it's Safi and Marco Dish Out on Movies, the only movie review show on YouTube to review movies in terms of food. And it's just Marco here once again, and I am here today for a sort of quick review of a new release movie that I just watched, and that movie is Dead Man's Wire. And this is the third new release movie for me, and I am so thankful I chose to watch this. I was kind of looking forward to it for a number of months. I guess like two or 3 months. I love true stories, and I was interested in finally seeing like a full Gus Van Sant movie because I think the only movie of his that I've seen, and I put "seen" in quotes because I turned the movie off. That's how bad it was. It was the Psycho remake. I was going on a road trip to a convention in 5th grade, and I rented a couple of movies, probably some of the worst selections. I had Dragon Ball Evolution and the Psycho remake. Oh, and I think maybe the Dawn of the Dead remake. Maybe. But, like, yeah, I put Psycho on, and then I turned that shit off. I was like, I can't deal with this shit. So, I was really interested in seeing this movie, though, because, again, I love true stories, and I've always held the opinion that I think there's a lot of true stories out there that really deserve to be told. And documentaries are great and everything, but, like, if you put it in a movie, it can make things so much more powerful. And I think that this is one of those situations because this story, it's kind of, if you told this as a documentary, I bet there's a documentary, it's probably okay. But I think that this story works better as a movie because you really feel like you're there. You feel like you're in this experience yourself. You're the one being taken hostage in a way because that kind of is what it is. Like, you go into this movie, you don't, another thing that I loved about the movie was that a lot of true story movies I don't like because I already know what's going to happen. And a lot of other new release movies, just, fictional movies, people just do not care about spoilers anymore. Like on Twitter, like people just spoil everything. Like, you cannot go on Twitter without seeing people spoil new release movies, trailers, spoiler scenes, video games. They spoil everything. And so this is one of the few experiences where I've been able to say, like, hey, I don't know what's going to happen. And I find that kind of fun. I find that really, really cool. So this movie is all about this guy who's really pissed off. And he goes to this mortgage company so that he can take the CEO hostage. And the CEO, played by Al Pacino, is on vacation. He went on a sudden vacation basically to evade having to meet with this guy. And so the guy ends up taking hostage the CEO's son. And the whole movie, I thought that guy, he looked familiar. He kind of reminded me of the guy from Mr. Bean. The guy who was in Mr. Bean, Baby Geniuses, what was that other one? Ghostbusters 2. The nerdy kind of looking guy. Like, he looked like that guy. But that guy's, like, really old now. So, anyways, the main guy is played by Bill Skarsgard. The guy's name is Tony Karitzis. And he's basically taking this guy hostage because he thinks that the CEO purposefully wronged him, and he cheated him out of this, out of the mortgage. Like, he did certain things. It's kind of complicated. That's one of the few issues I have with the movie. It's like, okay, from what I understand, Bill Skarsgard had a mortgage on this property and he wanted to develop it. And he did all this stuff. He cut down trees or something like that. And he had malls and stores that were going to, be tenants on the property. He had all these things lined up. And then the mortgage company fucked him over. And then he wasn't able to pay the mortgage. And then they increased the interest or something. But in short, they fucked him over. Let's be honest. They fucked this guy over really hard. They fucked him up the ass without lube. And, he's pissed off. What do you expect? This is Pennywise here. This is fucking Pennywise. Got Bill Skarsgård. He's Swedish just like me. So I'm glad to go support a Swedish actor on screen, on the big screen. One of the things that I loved about this movie, it's a very performance-driven film. Bill Skarsgård's performance is probably my favorite that I've ever seen of his. He gives such a passionate performance. He really, it feels like he believes what he's saying. He believes what this guy believed. He doesn't look like him, and that's another thing. They kind of Hollywooded up these characters. They made them look prettier. They did the classic Hollywood thing, like where the real people, they look like NPCs from an early 2000s PS2 video game, and then the Hollywood movie, you got pretty boy Bill Skarsgård, and it's like, oh, he can act crazy, he can look crazy, but there's a lot of girls on Twitter and a lot of girls out there who would love for Bill Skarsgård to take them hostage, even if he had a shotgun rigged to their neck. Okay, like I bet that is the case. Like I bet that there's gonna be like a fantasy, like a fan fiction written by like one of these fangirls that's like, oh my god, I wish that Bill Skarsgård would take me hostage. Oh, that would be so hot. Ooh. They would write like a long like fantasy book about that situation, and I could totally see that. But like, seriously, this performance, it's really interesting because I think that there's going to be a lot of people who say like, this guy, he's evil. He obviously did something really bad. And objectively, yes. He kidnapped someone. He took him hostage. He held guns to him. He did do something wrong, legally. But morally, it's much more gray. He was trying to pursue justice. He was a person who understood right and wrong. And that, when someone does something wrong, there needs to be justice. And also, it is quite apparent throughout the movie that he might have a little screw loose. I'm not really entirely sure. They did show some footage of him at the end in real life, and he did kind of act a little crazy. But he also revealed that he hadn't been sleeping for like days. Because, like, he doesn't want to go to sleep until this situation is resolved. And so, you would get a little crazy. But, yeah. But here's the thing. He can be crazy. Like, I think that two things can be true. Because then there's the other side. People who say, look, this guy is a hero. What he did was a good thing. He didn't hurt anyone. He didn't kill anyone. He just did what he thought was right, and he did what he had to. He did what he could. This was a guy who, he had never gone on a vacation in his life. Never. That's so grim. And it painted such a clear picture, because the CEO, you see him and he's arguing about the food that he got, like the specific type of food. You know, he's by a pool and he has his wife with him and he's drinking all these fancy drinks. He's enjoying his life. And then you juxtapose that with this guy who's just down in the dumps. He's just got like just a couple of things in his fridge. He looks like he's ravenous, like he's hungry. He's never gone on a vacation. And he says that he's happy to just break even and just live a normal, boring life. And I really felt like that spoke to me, like that this was like an everyman type of guy. But as I was saying, I think that two things can be true. I think that, yes, he can be mentally unwell, unhealthy. And at the same time, I think he was done wrong. The two things aren't mutually exclusive, okay? So you could say, yes, they did him wrong, but you could also say, yes, he was mentally ill, probably. They said at the end, oh, no, never mind. I'm not going to spoil. Oh, did I just spoil it? Fuck. I tried to shoot this review a couple of minutes ago and I had some anxiety issues and then I wanted to restart. I don't know why. Maybe I'm just amped up because of this movie, because this movie was only like 2 hours, but it brought out some real emotion just from these couple of characters. I mean, this movie has quite a few people in it, but it's kind of like a play where it just focuses on this like little handful of people. You really get to see the main character the whole movie, which is a great thing, because nowadays it's all about being on a team. And it's all about how everyone else, you know, is really just as important as you. And you can't do anything yourself. You know, you have to have a team. And then the villain has to have a team. And then, you know, like they can't even wipe their own asses without the team helping them. You know, you got to put together a team in modern movies. And in this movie, this guy, he does everything all by himself. He achieves this master plan all by himself. And I got to say, like, they go out of their way to show that, like, he's trying to treat his hostage with respect for whatever that's worth. He feeds him, tries to feed him, gives him drinks, lets him go to the bathroom. He treats him like a human being. You know, you have all these other people throughout the movie saying how they knew him, like his brother, one of his brothers, says that he's a really nice guy. He's always been a good guy. He's even friends with some of the police. This main character, Tony. He's friends with some of these police who are involved in this hostage situation. So he, for all that it's worth, it seems like he was genuinely a good guy and that something went wrong. That's one of the issues with this movie, though, is that it feels like they didn't want to paint too much of a picture. Like, they didn't want to show the buildup. They didn't want to show this stuff happening in the past. They just wanted you, the audience, to, like, sit there and wonder, like, was he really done wrong? Is he right to be doing this? And there's a couple of times throughout the movie, too, where they have to kind of spell out what happened because, again, it's complicated. I don't understand all that, the real estate stuff. I don't understand it all. But I do think that he was wronged. And, yeah, there's a couple other things. This movie is a very 70s movie. The guy who made this, he went out of his way to make this as 70s as possible. He shot all these sequences in sort of like a documentary type of way, like it was really shot in the 70s. And it was so well done that it genuinely looked like it was in the 70s. Like, I thought he did a really good job with that. In fact, I've said before, I think that that's what you should do when you make a period piece, that there should be an aesthetic of that period. And there's other people who have said too that Gus Van Sant, he's like an aesthetic person. And so I really vibe with him. I am an aesthetic person too. I think that all movies need to have their own special aesthetic, and that's part of what makes a movie really good. And then I was trying to remember, I had something else that I wanted to, I literally just forgot it. Like I was going to mention it while I was saying those other things, and then I literally forgot. But yeah. Oh, some people could say that this movie is boring. I highly disagree. It's only like 2 hours. And I think if anything, the way that it's slow really helps because it puts you in the situation that they're in a way where, like, look, even if you had a gun to your head, if you had a gun to your neck, you're just sitting there. All that this guy was doing, the son of the CEO, I think his name was Richard, all he does the whole movie is just sit in this apartment. And it's like, if you're doing that, you would be bored too. I mean, this is a hostage situation. It's a movie about someone being taken hostage. It's not meant to be some high action movie with like gunfights and car chases. It's not that kind of a movie. And so that's another thing that I really like, though, is that the movie kind of commented on how the media portrays these types of events, and how even throughout the movie, like the main character, he chooses to talk to this radio show host played by Coleman Domingo, who's been in a lot of things recently. He was in The Running Man, which was kind of similar to this, in that these are both kind of like underdog, everyman movies. But this is a lot more believable, I think. This was way better than The Running Man. But, like, he chooses to talk to that guy because he wants the public. He doesn't care about it. This isn't some, like, robbery. This isn't some kind of, like, a heist or anything. This is all about a guy who just wants an apology. He wants an apology. He wants for there to be acknowledgement that something wrong was done. Probably my favorite scene of the movie, since I guess this is a spoiler review. F me. Well, no. There was a scene, okay, it's not a spoiler. There's a scene that involves a phone call between the main characters, and I'll just say this. It really spoke to the modern day, the present day, with everything that's going on now. It really highlighted a lot of the bad things that are going on now, and it really just showed the difference between the everyman and then people like this CEO, for instance. This CEO of this mortgage company, he's a piece of shit. Al Pacino plays him really well. Al Pacino, he plays Al Pacino. And, yeah, I thought that was great. That whole scene, that was my favorite part because it felt like this was the core of the movie. And you really saw in that main character that this is just a guy who wants this wrong to be made right. And there's just something so cool about that, and something so honorable and heroic. And people did call him a hero. I don't blame them. I think he is a hero. I think he was a hero too. I would agree with that. He might have been a little crazy. He might have had like a screw loose, and he might have, been watching too many John Wayne movies, but like he definitely had a point, and he did what he had to do. And sometimes when you're in a system where, things are like how they are, you have to do what you have to do. And even if that means doing something wrong or doing something, that's quote unquote illegal, like that's what happened in the civil rights era. In the civil rights era, like, where would black people have been if they hadn't have done what they did in like the 60s and the 50s? Like they had to do what they had to do to get progress. And this guy did the same damn thing. And I'm also really glad that they made this movie too, because I think, if anything, it's so powerful that even though this takes place in the 70s, it's so powerful that this story is still having an impact today. This character, this guy, he was such a heroic figure that he still has impact when his story is shown in modern day. That's really interesting, guys. Like, isn't that interesting? Like, even if you don't agree with what he did, it is really interesting the impact that he made. Now, I don't know why this is doing that. I hope that the review doesn't stop. I want to go to my notes. Here we go. There is also something funny, is that The Mentalist did something similar to this. And so I recognize that in season 3, they took that from this. So The Mentalist was looking at true crime cases. They must have taken this whole shotgun idea and put it on The Mentalist. And God, that looked really uncomfortable too, that having the shotgun, like, just tied to your neck. Ugh. You could really feel this movie. Again, this movie was about emotions. It was a character-driven movie. And overall, I really enjoyed this movie. I would watch it again just for the performances. I could watch it again right now. So yeah. In terms of food, I'm going to juxtapose this with the food review that I gave 28 years later, The Bone Temple, which that movie sucked badly. That movie, I was like, this is like 28 years later is like snacks that you're eating a bunch of different snacks, but you're not feeling satisfied. Today, I was really in the mood to have popcorn and soda, which I don't have often. Even though I see a lot of movies and I make movies, I don't have soda often. I have one soda a month, or two if one of them is 0 calories. So I chose to have popcorn and a root beer, just so that it wouldn't have caffeine, and it was so good. It was so good, even though it's $20 at the movies. It was so satisfying and so good, and it hit the spot. I devoured it in like 15 minutes because I was so in the mood for it. And I was so excited to have that because something else happened earlier in the day, which I don't even want to mention because I don't want you guys to think, well, actually, I don't give a fuck. Okay, so I only eat out like twice a week, and it's pretty much just for convenience sake. And so today, I got Taco Bell, and I wanted to get a drink that was 0 calories, and so I clicked on what it's called, like a mango refresca or refresher, a mango aqua refresca. I don't know what the fuck that is. And so I took one sip of this strange drink. It tasted like rotten piss, and so I threw out the drink, and I was so upset because I was like, I literally could have just gotten a soda, like a regular soda. I could have bit the bullet, and I would have, had that craving fulfilled, but I screwed myself over. I wasted $5, so I felt like I did myself wrong. So I wanted to right that wrong by getting a root beer and then I made some popcorn. So that was really fun. Or no, I didn't make the popcorn. I got it at the movies. I do have popcorn at home, and I can make that as well. And it is AMC popcorn, too. It is AMC branded. So I'm supporting the movie theater either way. So, yeah. So that's what I would give this movie. This movie is like a big snack of popcorn and soda that just fills you up and gives you that classic movie experience. It's a movie I recommend, and it's an experience that I would recommend. I think that popcorn and soda on the right day, it hits hard. As Gen Z would say, it hits hard. It's a banger. It's a banger snack. So yeah. So in terms of spoilers, my favorite part of the movie is at the very, very end, where it is revealed that the Meridian Mortgage Company eventually had to go out of business and they had to declare bankruptcy. That was my favorite part of the movie. I felt like I was so inspired. Like, this was just some random guy. He's kind of like a Trevor from GTA 5. He's kind of like a Trevor type of character. And the impact that he had, again, was tremendous. And the fact that this company eventually went out of business, I mean, that's badass. And then at the end of the movie, of course, the police, they fuck him over. They agreed to give him immunity. And then they just said, screw you. And they arrested him anyways. Even though he did not hurt the hostage. He didn't do really much of anything besides take this guy hostage. And then he shot his gun in the air to prove to them that it was loaded. That was kind of bizarre. But again, I think he was a little mentally unstable. But yeah, he had a trial. And of course, the people are not going to convict this guy. Like, the people are going to say, not guilty. And that's exactly what happened. That was very satisfying, too. He did everything he wanted. He got everything he wanted. But the only thing he didn't get was a sincere apology from the CEO. The CEO remained to be a piece of shit. There's this part in the movie that really reveals that, where, well, number one, the son, Richard, he implies that, like, his dad's a piece of shit because, you know, he's like, look, growing up with him is my dad was not a walk in the park. And then also there's this part where Tony is doing a press conference. He wanted to have a press conference so that he could tell the world, like, look, this is what happened. This is what this company did. They fucked me over. And they're going to fuck you over too. America, hashtag. They're going to fuck you over. I mean, we just saw today, they are advancing a bill for the government to put kill switches in every single new vehicle made in America. Or I guess that's made that is for Americans. Like, I don't know how that would work. I guess in Europe, you can get the normal vehicles that the government isn't allowed to stop and to kill you. You know, like, oh, if the government doesn't like what you're doing, they can just stop you in your car. You know, they can just press a button and then you won't be able to move. Who the fuck wants that? That is enough to say, like, look, this America experiment, it's a little bit wrong. It's gone wrong. It's gone rancid. That alone is cause for there to be change. And I think that, you know, what was I saying? Okay, what was I getting at? Damn it, I totally forgot. But I was talking about, the press conference. So Bill Skarsgard's character, he's talking about, you know, he's giving this impassioned speech. Again, he really gave like an Oscar-worthy performance here. And he starts to cry. And he does a really damn good job of doing it in a way where it's not cringeworthy, like Sarah Paulson, who I like to call Crybaby. And then Richard, the son of the CEO, he is not crying at all, and the dad is acting like that's some sort of a flex. He doesn't care anything about what Bill Skarsgård's character is saying. All that he cares about is the fact that he looks stupid on TV because he's crying, and then his son looks good because he's not crying. And then it's funny because then Richard cries when he goes into the ambulance. When he's put on a stretcher, he does start crying. So, that was the big thing that kind of exposed, like, I think the filmmaker's perspective was that Meridian Mortgage definitely did wrong to this guy. And this guy, even though he had some wires that were crossed in some weird ways, he was in the right. He was a hero. He did what he had to do. And I'll say it a million fucking times. And I looked up, too. It said that, like, there's a lot of people who knew him. And again, even the police, some of the police that were involved in this situation, they all knew this guy. And they said he was a really cool guy. He was a really nice guy. And he seemed totally normal. And that's so different from when you have, like, a serial killer case, like the Ed Gein story, where, like, after he got arrested, you had all these people in that town saying, like, that guy was a weird guy. Like, he talked about having shrunken heads and all that kind of shit. Like, he was a really kind of strange guy. There was something kind of off about that guy. He definitely kind of seems like the type of guy who would dig up corpses and shit and, kill his mom and kill a bunch of women and wear their skin as clothes. Like, he seems like a creepy guy. But this character, the movie went out of its way to show that he was just like you and me. He was just a normal guy. And he did what he did. So, rest in peace to Tony Kuritzis. I bet that he would be so proud of this movie, too. He would be so happy that, like, a whole new generation of people... I mean, the Meridian Mortgage Company, it's already dead. It's already dead. And still, after it's dead, you got a movie that comes out, and it basically is just like a huge middle finger to all those people, to that entire company, to all that stuff that happened. And I just think that that's so epic. It's so cool. Like, it really, it's something special. It's something different. And if you're able to go see it, then you should. So yeah, please like this video and comment and tell me what you thought of the movie. And then please subscribe to our channel if you'd like to see more honest movie reviews. And lastly, although this video was free, usually I split the video in half and then the spoiler part of the video goes onto my Patreon page. And so if you would like to see all of those videos and all of my bonus content, including rankings, tier lists, all that commentaries, please head on over to Patreon now. And also, lastly, my short film, County Fear, is there too. So thank you guys so much for watching, and yeah, see you soon. Goodbye, everybody.